welcome back to The Real Contrast.
I'm Kyle A.
I'm Brian K. Happy day.
Happy. From harsh to home, we bring the keys to success.
Oh, dude, that's the one that stuck, man. Now even you remember it. Bringing you the keys to success.
It's joyful, Brian. It's joyful.
I love it.
It's
I love it. And it's real estate-y.
Yeah, you know what? I love being in the studio, and I love doing this with you. I love your attitude. I love your passion for the industry. I love your passion for people. You know, I saw one of your podcast or your Facebook posts the other day, and you know your understanding of people's emotions is really, especially your colleagues. You know, it matters.
Mm-hmm.
It matters how we represent this industry every day because it's what changes the minds and opinions of the consumer.
True that.
So
Absolutely.
I just want to say kudos to you, and I know we got something really fun to talk about. So what is it?
Yeah. Man, I can't take a compliment without saying thank you. Appreciate that.
It's true.
And there's a reason that I'm here with you too.
Yeah.
And that's why we do this podcast, though, is because everybody's different.
Yep.
We both have hearts for people.
Absolutely.
You might come at it a different angle now and then, but ultimately it's always about looking out for the best for our clients. So
Yes.
appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you, man.
All right, couple topics we got today. We're going to talk about cars. Yeah.
Like used car salesman cars?
Like, does the car that you drive help get business? We're going to talk about overcoming clients' negative attitudes.
Yeah.
We might jump into breach of contract, and if we're lucky, which I doubt that we'll get this far,
Like a well breaching? Like a breach?
having someone who wants to do business with you while you're with a client. Ooh. We might have to come back to that one later.
That one's going to be a confusing because you've already lost me.
All right. So, does it matter what kind? Will you sell more homes if you have a specific type of car or fancy car or not?
You know, it depends. No, I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
Hopefully, your personality and your willingness to serve other people shines, but there's a caveat to this.
Okay.
There's a lot of judgmental people in this world,
Mm-hmm.
and if you pull up an jalopy all rusted out on your first meeting, they're probably already gonna judge you. They're probably gonna judge you instantly. And that might prevent you from getting business. Now, I don't have a fancy car.
I think you have not a jalopy.
Yeah.
Actually, you do have some fancy cars.
Well, I don't think those have gotten me business.
They have probably kept you from not getting business.
Yeah. Okay, no, you're not going to trick me like this. They've got, okay.
It's a double negative.
The car gets me to where I need to go on time.
Sure.
It gets me to showings where I need to be on time.
Yeah.
And all you new agents out there, be there before your clients if you can.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't break down on me.
Yeah.
So it allows me to keep my obligations.
Yeah.
The interior's clean, so if I do have to carry a passenger, then I'm comfortable. However, it hasn't always been like that. I haven't always had that car, and I've actually seen agents who don't have. I mean, this guy pulled up his beat up truck once, and he was the buyer's agent. Now he's probably working for family, but I'm gonna hope, and I'm gonna use where I would stand. I wouldn't just judge the position of somebody by their vehicle. Now, don't get me wrong, maybe financial. Well, who knows? I've seen rich people, multimillionaires, drive beaters.
Gazillion %.
You know. So what's your take?
Yes.
Okay, hit me with it.
Okay. So, and this has something. Thank God. Can I tell a quick story?
No,
Okay.
there's no quick stories.
Back when I started, my coach, who actually had told my team leader that she'd never hire me because I was boring him for her to sleep, probably because I told too long of stories, were, I think, my third car in. Because when I started the business, I had a car, it was decent, engine blew, and I literally bought a $500 car to get me around.
Right.
Okay? And when I told my wife to buy this for me, I said, make sure it starts and make sure the brakes work.
Was that little Geo thing?
It was a Toyota. It was a Toyota Sun. I spent more money on oil than I did gas at the gas pump.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
But right after that, I got a decent car, and my coach, we were having some kind of conversations, and she says, for men agents, the two things that people judge you on is your watch and your car. And I was like, holy crap. Thank God she did not tell me that a year ago, because I would have never made my first,
Do I need a watch?
now here's where she was going with that. It's very, very judgmental. And
Yes.
you're absolutely right.
Shame on you guys.
People, it's human nature. It's not shame on anyone. It's human nature.
I'm shaming you if
That-
you're judging people by their car.
Yeah, well,
Unless
okay.
it's like got duct tape on it.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, hold on. So, HVAC guy pulls up to your house. He has to climb in through the passenger door.
Yeah.
The rear view mirror's taped on,
Yeah.
and he's driving with a spare tire. Are you second guessing your thought for HVAC guy?
Yeah, man, he had a bad day. It's a work truck.
Bad day for a spare tire
Well,
and climbing through all that happened at
Hey,
once?
look, I didn't buy the cheapest guy. He just happens to not have a
But you're wondering if you did.
I don't know.
Yeah. So ultimately, here's but let me follow this up. Do not go buy a fancy car expecting more business.
Okay, there you go.
Okay?
Right.
And then this all came about because I ran into someone yesterday randomly. We're at a nice concert outside, and he's telling me about some agent that he knows, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, let me give you some advice. What kind of car do you drive? And I told him, and he goes, okay, well, that doesn't, I guess it's a pretty nice car, you know. And I'm not bragging about my car or anything,
Right.
but the point is that he was going to tell me that I needed to go buy a new car.
Right.
If I had told him a 1998 Toyota Celica,
Right.
he's gonna be like, you need to go buy this.
Right.
No one's gonna take you seriously.
Yeah.
And did I do business with that $500 piece of crap? You bet. I just didn't park in driveways.
Right. Because the oil spill.
Yes.
Now, I totally get that, and it kind of cast my mind. I'm like, I would have parked around the corner, and I don't know what would have done. However, I have seen other agents pull up in some beaters, and you know what? I thought to myself, good for them, because I think it's our duty in life, and we can take real estate aside. Well, no, you could apply it to real estate too. It's our duty in life to show compassion where everybody's at.
Yep. 100%.
Period. End of story. Like when I'm starting a conversation.
You said period, end of story, and then you kept going.
Yeah, that's Kyle. I don't stop this thing.
Well, I don't like that attitude,
Well,
Kyle.
go get me
I
a
don't
new
like,
car. Go get me a
so
new car.
how do you overcome a client's bad attitude?
Ooh, first you buy a new car, and then
Makes you feel better about yourself?
you give it to them as a gift.
You can give someone $1 million, and there's people out there that'd be mad you didn't give them too. So how do you
Yeah, that's
overcome a
true.
client's bad attitude?
Well, sometimes it's not. It's for yourself. Okay, I say overcome the client's bad attitude. Look for key indicators. Like, hey, good client of mine says, is it even worth my time to even look at this? Do they want the house or not? Well, okay, first one, overcoming it. It's absolutely worth your time. Right? Stay to relevant topics. Right? Understand and sympathize with them to a certain degree. Listen. Show that you are listening. Show that you do care. And then, walk them through the process and stay on track. That is, you need to take right actions in our process as an agent.
Mm-hmm.
We need to take the right actions. And we've already talked about this in the last episode. If they hear it or not, you're taking the right actions, right?
Yeah.
But it's going in their subconscious, and ultimately, you do it enough times, it's going to succeed.
Yeah. Yeah. And realize that you don't know what someone else is going through that day.
Absolutely.
Now, you may have a client who's just always a bad attitude. And then you got a decision to make, a business decision. Do I want to continue to work with this guy?
Right.
But are they really upset about the buyer coming back and saying, I want, $500 off because the water heater's bad? Or are they mad because their dog died last night?
It could be a gamut of things.
Right. And so realize that the problem that they're talking about may not necessarily always be what the sticking point is,
Right.
even more important to know your clients.
Absolutely. And that's the relationship part of it.
Right.
Because they're not just going to be, hopefully they're not just one sale. It doesn't matter if they're two sales. Hopefully it's a real relationship.
Yeah.
And that means if you really want to do a good job, you got to listen. You got to pay attention. You have to be able to understand or put yourself in their shoes and be there for them, literally wholeheartedly, without getting into your emotions. I mean, there's been times I've cried with my clients. I'm sure you probably have too. Like some emotional stuff come up and it'll hit you. And then there was hugs and kisses, and then the next day it was hollering right back at me. But it's okay, because we've gained higher ground in our
Right.
relationship, and ultimately that relationship, good relationships serve each other.
Right.
Like they know that I'm doing the positive and the best job I can, and they probably wouldn't. They might get that somewhere else, but they're not going to get a better one.
Mm-hmm.
Someone might bring a little different set of skills in and do some smooth talking, but we already on this level where the real things are happening.
Right.
So that's my tip.
Yeah. Well, ultimately, at the end of the day, we're never going to lose our jobs to AI completely, or Zillow, or whatever these, because of these emotional standpoints.
Yep.
That's people that, you worried about your job, Redfin's going to take over. Or, at least until I'm done,
Right.
the next 20 years, I can't imagine that being taken over, because there are emotions that come up. There are factors that are outside of the black and white
Absolutely.
contract.
Oh,
And ultimately, at the end of the day, there's been plenty of times where, and I can't imagine that this is going to stop anytime soon, we come up with a solution that I've never heard of before.
yeah, and you know what? And the thing is let's say us as agents make a mistake. I think the one thing that's going to override that is that relationship. Because you building that relationship with them, it starts with honesty. It's going to finish with honesty, right?
Yeah.
So you make a mistake and you're honest about it. And you know what? I've made those mistakes, and I've come to my clients and I'm honest about it. And you know what? Solid relationship.
Yep.
Solid.
Yeah. It's important. So let
Absolutely.
me ask you this now.
No.
You're working with a client, emotions happen, and they want to breach the contract.
Yeah. With who?
What happens?
With who?
Okay, so because this is my less than favorite one, but ultimately it's the one that I've seen a couple times, where a seller comes to you and says, you know what, we're under contract, we're a few days away from closing, we've gone through the inspection period, there is no contractual reason for me to back out, yet I'm done. I want to go ahead and blow this deal up.
And I want to take my house off the market. Is that what you're saying?
Whatever. No, not necessarily that they want it, but they don't want to go through with
Yeah.
the buyer.
Yeah, see, I've heard that happening. I've heard of that happening, and ultimately on that's when lawyers can get involved.
Yeah.
I mean, that's bottom line. That's where it's at. Now the question is the buyer willing to spend that money to fight it, right? And then you got the agent on the other hand who's like, hey, I brought you a buyer. I want paid. Now and then you got the selling agent who says, or the listing agent who says, hey, I brought you a bona fide buyer. We were getting ready to close. I've done my job.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get paid. Now there's some brokers who fight that.
Sure.
For me, I don't think I would personally.
Well, I
Yeah.
think it where it boils down to is, I don't think that everybody understands how important these legal binding
Oh, yeah.
contracts are that we
Absolutely.
put together.
Yeah.
Right? Like, hey, you said you'd sell the refrigerator. You need to leave the
Yeah.
refrigerator. Well, I can't believe, but we gave up so much in the inspection period. I don't care.
Yeah.
That's fine that you feel that way.
Yep.
And here's the shoulder. You can come cry on it. But at the end of the day, the refrigerator needs to stay.
Absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely.
is a buyer going to sue over a refrigerator? Depends on how nice the refrigerator is. I don't know.
Hey, they have literally, like you said, they have literally just fell out of contract, right? I mean,
Possibly they're looking at
well,
it.
hey, if they took the refrigerator, they've already botched it. If they're not going to put it back.
Years ago, representing a seller, We go under contract,
Mm-hmm.
and mind you, in order to go under contract, this isn't e-signing. This is go over to their house. This
Right.
is review the contract, spending about an hour discussing each line item.
Yeah.
This works, this works. They accept it, and the next day I'm on the way to the hotel. I was staying a little staycation with my wife, and the seller calls. Actually, it wasn't even the seller. My transaction coordinator called me and said, I think your seller wants to terminate. And then my title company called me and said, I just got a call from your seller saying they wanted to terminate.
Yeah.
And then I got a call from the broker saying, hey, do you know? And I'm like, yeah. You need to call her real quick. And I
Yeah.
call her up, and she's like, nah, we're done. And I'm like, we have no legal standing to terminate at this juncture in time.
Right.
We hadn't gone through the inspection period or anything, but technically the seller does not have
Right.
a way out.
Right.
Now, if the buyer comes back and asks for $1 off and sellers say no, we might be able to get out of it.
Right.
And early in the contract, we were very lucky to finish this up. We terminated. The first thing I did, as soon as I'm sending that document out for signatures,
Uh-huh.
is call the buyer's agent. Hey, don't order your inspector.
Right.
My seller doesn't want to do this deal.
Right.
They did yesterday,
They don't today.
not today. So you can send an inspector over, but I have a feeling that they're not going to let them in the house.
Right. Because they done.
And so do what you guys need to do. I'm not saying
Yeah.
we're in the right here, and I wouldn't actually say that.
Right.
I mean, breach of contract is huge, and so agents take this very seriously, right? That's why you spent all that time in class learning the contracts and everything, because ultimately, if your client, I mean, where we were, we'll say this calendar year, and I had a seller want to back out, we were just a couple days away from closing. Buyers are packed up. Buyers probably
Yeah.
don't have a house to live in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They've already spent all the money on inspections. They've been negotiating. They saw 3 other houses that they would have liked to have had. I mean, there's a really good chance that this buyer puts their foot down and goes, you know what?
We're going to court.
We're doing it, man. And then a buyer potentially could even put a stop to you being able to sell it to the next
Absolutely.
person.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've never been in that situation. I've heard of it. It is damaging to the buyer party, you know, for sure. And you know, buyers can breach the contract as well.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Luckily,
Had that happen
and you know,
several times.
and that can be a hard one. It depends on what's written in the contract. You know, inspection period. You're outside of that, but you know, the one thing that kind of deters me a little bit, and I gotta explain to my clients is, now they can get a lending disapproval and get their earnest money back,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a hard one for our seller clients to grasp, because they're like, then the earnest money is pointless. And so, and I can see that, and sometimes it's not. I've actually had buyers give up their earnest money because I knew they were in the wrong. They knew they were in the wrong. They could have fought it, but I said, look, you guys went under contract. You decided after the inspection that you didn't want it because you decided to buy a different house over here.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, you're right, Kyle. $2,200, $2,500, boom. And they said we deserve to eat it.
Yep.
Now those are logical people, and they understand that both sides matter.
Right.
It's not always about me.
It's buyers got to win, sellers got to win, money's got to win.
Yep.
It's got to be a 3-way street.
And to be honest with you, buyers agents are on the same side as everybody. Really, they're just advocating.
Yeah.
But our job is to bring deals together.
So I've got a weird one.
Oh no.
First off, this whole listing is weird, but I will tell you that I was, for sake of kind of confidentiality, because we're not on the market yet,
Yeah.
and it'll be soon. It'll be, what is it? I guess, okay, so we're not live, so
Yeah, this will be coming out. This video, I think, will be coming out 4th because I'm leaving town.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm down shooting videos today, and this has happened to me multiple different ways, but I'm down shooting videos at a boat dock,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and I'm selling a boat garage,
Right.
which essentially is just tied to the boat dock.
Right.
Okay, but there's a community of these boat garages at this boat dock, at this marina, that have been told they have to sell their boat garage.
So you'd be the boat garage salesman of the year.
So I'm walking down the pier with my client.
Right.
Okay, I got Kyle, my client, right here. We're walking down, and my client introduces me to Bob, who owns a boat garage there.
Right.
And he goes, Bob owns a boat garage too. And Bob says, hey, are you looking for anyone else to sell a boat garage? Well, sure. But now, if I put his boat garage on the market and his on the market,
Now they're competing.
am I creating competition?
No, you're two things that are happening.
And do I stop and start conversation with Bob
Well,
while I'm talking to my client?
Kyle introduced you and asked the question.
Sure. But do you now ignore Kyle and go, "Oop."
No, because we're all three having a conversation, right?
And then as we're leaving, my client's like, yeah, I gave your phone number to another person in that area
That's what you
who
want.
has another boat garage.
That's what you want. And so you're doing two things. Yeah, you could be creating competition, but you're also cornering the market,
I'm not creating any of the competition.
right?
I am not. That's what my brain said, but the competition is there. These people have to sell their boat
Right.
garages.
Right.
I'm the professional that's come out and the whole reason that I had professional photos, professional
Absolutely.
videos is because that's my standard.
Absolutely.
These guys out there on these boat docks that are halfway sinking too, it's kind of wild. They're seeing this professional come out here and they're like, I want him.
Amen.
Isn't that kind of our job?
Yeah. That's like the perfect situation.
I don't know about perfect.
It
I
is.
mentioned it's a
It
boat
is.
garage.
It is.
It's like a floating barn.
But see, our job
pole barn.
our job isn't to worry
On
about.
floats.
Yeah, we have to worry about. We're not selling cars, right?
Maybe.
But
That
you
might
know
be
what?
next. I don't know. I've been selling a bunch of trailers.
No, you're out there being of value.
A million percent.
So, look, if you can't sell the littles, you should. Well, and I always say that if you don't have the value to sell the little ones, and you're not gonna put out the red carpet for these guys, but you are for them, I think that's. Me personally, I wouldn't do it. But you're bringing value, and it doesn't, and you're showing them that it's not about pricing. You know what? These guys could probably have multi-millionaire friends who see that.
And trust me, there's a reason why I'm out there today doing photos and videos
Amen,
for
dude.
this boat garage. It's
Amen.
not because I'm starving for business. It's because we were talking about this is long-term business. Most of the
Amen.
people that are going to be calling me if there's sign calls, it's going to be someone who has waterfront property.
Amen.
I wouldn't mind meeting this person.
Hey, Brian, I'm gonna go out and start acting like I'm you on these boat slips. Maybe I can get in on one of those.
Dude, hit it up, man. Seriously. Let me tell you, and I've crunched the numbers on several of my listings this year. Like, hey, business wise and profit and blah blah blah. Because I have a business coach, and you got to do that. And
Right.
ultimately, we want to help people, but you can't. You got to put on your oxygen mask first to be helpful to the person next to you, right?
I was
And
just told that this morning.
it's sometimes it's going, whew,
But
and you look at it and you go, okay, numbers wise, if we can create this scenario,
yeah,
if I can create an opportunity to talk to 3 or 4 or 10 or 12 other homeowners on Lake Coeur d'Alene that have
Right.
waterfront properties, that's a win.
You know what? You've heard of the Michelin star review, 5
Of course,
and you know how that got started.
I
right?
do. Michelin Tires wanted to sell more tires.
That's right. So that's what you're creating it.
Yep.
And it's awesome, dude.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
You can drown them.
Our job
Just joking.
Our job is to remind that horse that he's thirsty,
Yeah, absolutely.
or make him thirsty. You can't force anybody to do anything.
Or find the thirsty horse.
Or find the thirsty horse. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Stop screwing around with the horses that are drinking out of
Yeah.
the water trough and grab one that looks like it's about ready to pass out.
I think that's a testament to a positive attitude.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, there's agents, but wouldn't even touch it.
1,000,000%.
Me, I'd touch it. I'd touch it all day long. I'd probably make some calls, make sure I can do this. But at the end of the day, that is something. That's why I cherish you, bro.
And I can tell you, I have made a lot of calls, and we're still making calls, and we've been upfront with the clients because you don't see boat garages at
No.
MLS, and so we're still working on this.
Dude, I think I
but-
saw a food truck hit the MLS
You did. You saw it actually this week. My buddy Gage Howard just listed Wetzel's Pretzel
Woo!
food
Nice.
truck. Yeah.
Well, this was a good podcast.
This was a great
brother.
podcast, man.
Did we forget?
No, we're negotiating.
Oh, you go first.
I'm Brian Kidd.
I'm Kyle A. Peace.